Today we're going to talk about presentation skills, corporate presenters, meeting presenters. Make sure you don't make these 5 mistakes. Now, before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and you'll get notified for new videos and go through some of the past videos that I've done on speaking and storytelling and presenting in general. Now, when it comes to corporate presenting, there are 5 things that people are still doing, whether they are online or live, and they're mistakes people make, and you got to avoid them because people will drone out presentations no matter how good you think your content is, no matter how important or relevant you think your topic is. If you make these 5 mistakes, you're going to be ignored, and it's so easy to make sure that you don't do them. First mistake, believe it or not, I still see it, too much on your slide. Whether you have a PowerPoint, Google Slide, Prezi, whatever it is, a lot of people are still putting too much information on their slide. Now, there's a lot of reasons this can be happening. Maybe people are insecure, they want to make sure they pack everything in and get all that information in, but people can only absorb so much. They're listening to you speak, they're watching what's on your slide. If there's too much information, people jump back and they decide they're not going to listen. A confused mind says no. A clear mind says go. So here's how you fix that. Have minimal words on the slide, just a couple of words. Make sure that your slide engenders questions. It makes people ask, what is it that this slide means? This slide needs an explanation. So whether it's a picture with a word or just a word, or a couple of words on a slide, or something simple that needs explaining, minimal words. Make sure that you have the focus on you as the presenter. Your slide is just there to back you up. The second mistake that presenters make, and I'm noticing this more for virtual presentations, is too few visuals or too few slides. Now, I don't think you should go overboard. I think I read somewhere that someone says you should have a slide every 30 seconds or a minute. So if you have a 75-minute presentation, you should have 75 slides. Whoa, pump the brakes on that one. You don't necessarily need a certain amount of slides every minute or so. But what a general rule of thumb could be for you is every 5 minutes, make sure your slides are changing, especially if you are online. If you are speaking and you have a point that you're going through and a story that you're telling, an anecdote that you're sharing, and if it's 3 to 5 minutes or so and you have one slide on for the whole time, that's fine. Get a feel for your audience, and that is where just rehearsing your presentation, filming it and watching it back is going to be very beneficial for you. So if you feel like you've been talking forever and there's just one slide there, you may want to have something else in there to give some more variety to what the audience is experiencing. The 5 to 7 minute rule is kind of like your TV program rules. So I know that a lot of times we're streaming television now, but when you watch a show with a commercial break, you have 5 to 7 minutes, then you have a commercial, or you have some change of pace, and then it comes back to the program. You want to make sure that there's enough switches in there so that your audience stays interested. So there's a fine balance. Don't have too many, don't have too few. Rehearse and get a feel for the timing. The next mistake that I see business and corporate presenters make, and even some motivational speakers, but not as much as I do in business settings, is the flat voice. So they present the information with a flat voice, and there's no modulation, there's no personality in the voice, and no one wants to listen. If you've ever heard a presentation like this, you're probably familiar with the flat voice presenter. And if you are a flat voice presenter, there's an easy way to change that. There's the topic rule and there's the truth rule. First, the topic rule. Find something interesting in your topic, something that generally interests you. Yes, sometimes you have to present things about which you have no interest. You have to do it because it's part of your job, it's part of your position, but find something in there that's interesting, or bring in something interesting in comparison to the topic that you're talking about. If that means just a quick story about what it is you're sharing about, Something interesting makes your voice sound more flavorful. When you start to speak about something you're interested in, you can't help but change the modulation in your voice. So find something in your topic that's interesting. The second part to that is the truth rule. Sometimes telling the truth in the middle of a meeting, even if it's like a sarcastic truth, gets your audience involved in your presentation, and it gets you out of that flat voice, I'm presenting content mode. So you may be saying, yeah, we're all here and having fun today in this 3-hour meeting. Or you may say, welcome to the exciting topic of blank in a sarcastic tone. It's okay if you bring in some truth to your presentation. If it's sarcastic truth, or bring in something real life or something about yourself into the presentation. We always talk about our favorite topic the best. The favorite topic of any person is to talk about themselves. So if you talk about yourself for a quick second in the presentation, it's going to flavor your presentation. Tell the truth and don't always stick to your rigid content, and that will get you out of that flat voice mode. Let us see your personality. Let us know a little bit more about you, even if you have a lot of mandatory content to share. The next problem when it comes to presenting is there's no connection with your audience. You'll see someone, they're presenting and they're online, they have their slide deck to go through, and you feel no connection to them whatsoever. You don't know who they are, you don't know anything about them, and you couldn't care less about the content because they're just telling you, top tips, best practices, or presenting the information that they need to present and ending the meeting or getting out of the meeting. To avoid that, just use stories. And I know that storytelling is quite the buzzword, but at the end of the day, it's a buzzword because it works. We are hardwired to love stories. Once upon a time, it's been something that's ingrained in us since we were young. We love stories. And if you have a story that, of course, relates to your topic, that's the only type you should tell in a presentation. Don't just tell a story to tell a story. But if you have a point to present and you experienced something of that nature in your own life, or a professional story about a client that you helped, or even a personal story that taught you the same point that you're trying to make, it's okay to insert personal stories even to a professional presentation. A lot of times people I coach will say, oh, well, I have to present corporate topics, so I can't be storytelling and motivational speaking. You don't have to go all the way that route, but don't leave out the stories. People are people at the end of the day. They like to be entertained. They like to be informed as well. And there's no one in your audience that won't appreciate a little anecdote or a little story mixed in, especially if it's about you or if it's about something you've experienced that ties into your topic. That way they're going to feel more connected to you, and thus they'll feel more connected to your content as well. The final mistake I see presenters make is there's no call to action at the end of their presentation or within their presentation. People like things now that they can take away and do right away. They want actionable tips and things that they can do that are going to help improve their life, whether it's personally or professionally, right away. A lot of times a presenter will present the content and they don't challenge their audience to do anything. And what happens with that presentation? It gets filed away, it gets forgotten. If people aren't challenged to take an action or improve in some way specifically from your presentation, then you may as well not give it. Find a way to have call to actions, whether it's you have 5 steps that you're presenting, or if you have a whole presentation, you have one main call to action. Hey, this is what you do starting today. Have some type of challenge to your audience, a call to action that will help them to not only remember your content, but give them something to do with your content so they have some measurable result that shows that what you taught them actually works. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments below what you thought of the video, what tips you've also learned from other presenters that may help you, and what else you'd like to see as far as improving your presentation skills online or in person. And if you like this video, make sure you watch these other videos on how to become an even better, more confident speaker and presenter than you are today.